We are back at it on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast. Jonathon Howe, Travis Cunningham, episode 35. Travis, who do you think of when you think 35?
Well, I know who you're going to go with, so I'm going to go with Brandon Gruel.
Oh, that's a good pick. Yeah, that's a good pick. I think, and then what? Corey has also run a 35, I think, in the past as well.
Yes. Yeah, both of them.
Yep. So shout out to both of them. I'm going with Nelson Mason because he's going to be our guest a little later on the show. And we should say this is going to be the first Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast that is presented by Ohsweken Speedway. More exciting details to come about that partnership and bringing them on board to sponsor the show and some other things in the works. But yeah, this is going to be the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast presented by, for now, Ohsweken Speedway.
Yeah, I love it because that's the only place I've ever won at. Times 3.
And then you're going to pile on a couple more wins.
Thanks to Clint and Glenn and all the boys, for coming on board. We finally got a sponsor. I almost feel we should play like the Days of Thunder clip. We got ourselves a sponsor!
That's a good one. That's a good pick.
Yeah.
That's a good one. No, it was really awesome to have Clinton come on board. And obviously, it means for me, I'm going to be spending a lot more time at Ohsweken if I can, because there's also some potential that I might be down at Ransomville as well, helping my buddy Stephen Petty out down there. So we'll see where Friday nights are going to take me around to watch racing these days. But
Fran always has Ohsweken rolling in the booth at Ransomville anyway, so you'll be good to go.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be able to watch both, put them together.
Yeah.
No matter what, no matter where I am, I'm going to be paying attention to both.
Because I'll be at Ohsweken Speedway in person.
Yeah,
I promise.
I'm still waiting for the day that you have to rope me into crew for you, and I don't think you want me to do that.
Oh, yeah. Never know.
Yeah.
Sometimes guys can't come and you're strangling and you got to start calling randoms.
Yeah.
That'll be you.
Yeah. I'll go with the first call.
It's going to happen one day.
I'm sure at some point, and I'll be just standing there just like, tell me what to do. Maybe I can do it.
Yeah.
I can push you off on an ATV, maybe. I don't know.
Scrape the mud's easy to start with.
Oh, perfect. That sounds like a great job.
Handing helmet and gloves. There's another good job.
Nice. I
got the rest covered for the most part. Except for my boys, Willie and Aaron and Steve and Wayne. Billy, they all handled it for me at the track. And if you ever came, you would just be hanging out with them boys. But
yeah, you got a good crew.
One day we're going to be stranded. Yeah, we do got a good crew rolling now. I was struggling for crew guys there for a while. It was just me and Billy and my mom. But we got quite the gang now.
Yeah.
Wayne was always there. Wayne gets.
Speaking of getting dirty, let's start with the Chili Bowl, which just passed this past weekend. That was a long night. I made it through the whole show. I made it through to the checkered flag and the victory lane stuff of the Chili Bowl A main, and I gotta say, can we please find a way to make this a little bit shorter? I know we got to go through the whole alphabet soup. I know that, there's almost 400 entries in the race. Of course, you're going to need to, you're going to need to have all these different A mains and everything else. But come on, man. Like, you can't have that race end at 1:30 local time. That was just brutal.
It was 1:30 our time, yeah. I gave up on CMAV. Yeah, you're a Chili Bowl rookie, so you stuck it out. That was your first time watching it in full, right?
Second or third, actually, because I remember watching Larson win one of them. So,
but like, have you ever watched like all day before or no?
No, I don't think so. I think the earliest I probably started was like an E or a D main.
Yeah, you were tuned in pretty early. So
yeah,
it's a grind. But like the worst part is like the first mains, they seemed like they flew by until they get to them C's, and then it switches to MAV TV, and that's when it goes downhill for me. Like for me, the Chili Bowl is amazing all week in the prelims, and it's just the best time ever. And then C mains comes, and it's like, you guys lost me. I'm gonna watch it in the morning and not look at my phone.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Logan CV ends up getting the win in it. Congrats to him, and congrats to that whole team. That was a pretty special story with the Swindell Speed Labs and the Swindell family getting backed into victory lane there after some tragedy and horrible accidents and stuff, and then finding your way back as an owner into victory lane. That's pretty. That was a pretty cool story. But can we just find a way to make it so that we're not, staying up till 1:30 our time to watch it, even locally there. So I think I said 1:30 locally. It's still a 12:30 local time start,
Yeah.
right? Like that's pretty wild.
Yep. We weren't the only ones complaining. Lots of Twitter people, like even Chili Bowl lovers, say the same thing, and they've all. I've seen a bunch of tweets uh, proposing new formats and stuff to try to make it quicker and a little easier on everybody. So we're not the only ones saying that.
All right. So what would be your fix? What would you do if you were taking over the Chili Bowl tomorrow? What would be your fix for it?
Hmm. Kind of like what we talked about last week. Maybe just shorten it up to 4 nights, but then it would make the nights longer during the week. But I saw someone on Twitter, like they said, still use all the days, but then Friday and Saturday is when you do all the mains. So you can start Friday, and then that's when you start, and then Saturday night would just be like a night thing. Maybe start at the E's, and then you can scoot through quicker. Who knows? They're not going to do that, so it's going to be the same thing next year. So get ready, Chili Bowl. And if you can't stay up that
Yeah.
late, just do what I said. Don't look at your phone and rewatch it the next morning on Flow.
Yeah, exactly.
And it felt like it was
Uh,
live.
my fixes, my fixes. Winner gets 25 grand. You got to up the price a little bit more, and I would say well, have your. I heard one suggestion of adding the extra day and having the A, B, and C mains all on a Sunday. I don't know if I like that,
Mm-mm.
but I think I I think maybe using the Monday night as an extra prelim night
Well, they do
or
use the
something.
Monday already.
Like, there's got to be a way. I know because you have the All Star race kind of thing, the
Yeah,
race
but
of
it's still a
champions there or
full
whatever.
prelim
But
night. That's just added on.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's the thing. And I'm like, so how do you drop the All Star event and then maybe use like do run two preliminaries? Like, there's got to be a way you can use the days a little bit better than they
Just don't
do
waste so much time
without.
during, like, it took
Yeah,
6 hours to run 5 races. That's the main thing. So
yeah, that's not good. But yeah, pay more money and somehow make sure that A, B, and C get more highlighted time and get through them
was the
faster.
other,
I don't know how you do that,
yeah.
but that's my main address here.
Emmett did say one of those pre-race dragged on uh, opening ceremonies there, but he did add money to the purse,
Yes.
35,000. We didn't say where it went. I'm like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I haven't
Yeah.
seen like
Yeah. The
what
dragged
was it
on
to win this year? I didn't like no one. I didn't see
was
that. Like,
10.
was it? Yeah, I know. So where'd all that extra 35 go? Must have been all to the other mains and stuff, which is fine because those guys probably didn't get nothing. I wouldn't doubt if you didn't make it far on. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Should give a shout out to Tim McCready, who brought it home 11th in the A main. Uh, Not necessarily a local guy, but for some of us up this
he's
way,
pretty
we'd be pretty
local.
familiar with the name.
He's
Yeah.
local to
As
the
far as
Northeast
guys
mods.
at the Chili Bowl,
Yeah,
yeah, right. The only other locals really was Dylan Westbrook, who I think went out. I was watching him. He was going through the alphabet soup pretty well, to be honest. I think he got up to.
no. On his
I'm trying to
prelim
find it. I
night,
think he got up to
he
the
went C to A,
C main.
and then on the Saturday night, he didn't. I think he just fell out in the D because he got up to the D. He was the highest one up. But his prelim night, he was one of the guys, one of the guys to go C, B, A.
Yeah, I'm looking at. I just looked at his prelim, and now I'm looking at his D feature here. Yeah, he got up to 11th, and I think that's. I think when I started watching, he might have been in the E and made it up to the D, or he might have been in the F and made it up to the D. So either way, it was an impressive drive from Dylan Westbrook. He represented himself well. I know, pretty frustrated. There was like a one lane racetrack most of that night. It was really hard to pass. So not the not the opportunity to get through unless you really dialed in your car. But either way, it was an entertaining event. Just somehow, if we could make it a little bit shorter, that would be my fix for the Chili Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Tighter show. And speaking of the Chili Bowl, on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast Instagram account, that's sods_pod, SODS_POD. You might have seen our little contest we were running, Travis. You want to cover somebody's entry fee for the Spring Sizzler, trying to get somebody through the gates of Maryville Speedway that maybe hasn't been yet or was eagerly looking forward to getting out to Maryville Speedway after listening to all our shows in the off season. So we ran a little contest over on the Instagram where if you inboxed us a picture of where you were watching the Chili Bowl from, you were automatically entered for the draw. Or if you liked, shared, and tagged tag somebody on your or just even commented. I don't even think I said you had to tag anybody. I just said just comment, like, share, comment on our post, and you'd be entered for the contest. And there was one person who really went for it and ended up doing pretty much everything possible to win, and that was Joshua Verardo. Hopefully, I'm saying your name right. But he is at Josh Leaf fan. So you are, of course, stoked we chose a Leaf fan, I'm sure, to win. Yeah,
I
right.
like him
Yeah,
already.
already he's going to be one of your buddies, right?
Yep.
But congratulations, Joshua.
Yep.
Thanks for entering. And Travis Cunningham will cover your entry for the Spring Sizzler. We'll DM you all the details about it, and we can set that up the week of the Spring Sizzler once we get confirmation of when. I do we have the date on that? I guess we do because
April 22nd,
yeah, I was gonna say the Southern Ontario Sprints announced
Southern
it, right?
Ontario
So
Sprints opener.
yeah, we'll see you at the track, Josh.
Looking forward to meeting him.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure he's gonna be stoked.
Hopefully, you can get there.
He seemed like he was pretty
Yep.
eager to get to the racetrack. I mean, again, he was one of the few people to do
Yep.
not just send us a photo, but also like, share, comment the whole bit. So, I mean, he had five entries, 4 entries into the contest, so it makes sense that he was the winner. But thanks to everybody who entered, and we'll have some more contests down the road. Somebody who does run a pretty tight show and is going to have one heck of a show this year is the Action Sprint Tour, who we got a tour schedule announcement, and I should say tour schedules because there's multiple this year. We've got, of course, the main tour, the national tour, the Action Sprint Tour, fueled by Pinty's. Then there's the Action Sprint Tour West, brought to you by Oakwood Transport. And then Supernaut Truck Shops got the Action Sprint Tour East. So we got a lot of crate sprint racing to enjoy.
Yep. And the national tour pays $5,000 to win, and the other two pay 1,000. So lots of money to be had too. And yeah, lots of people switching to crate sprints. So Adam Turner just announced, and our guest last week, Andrew Hennessy, just announced, and I think there's more. I've got to be missing some.
Well, we can look over the schedule, in particular the West Series schedule, because that's going to be the one that we see the most of. And it starts at Ohsweken June 9th. Then it's at Merrittville the next night. You got the Canada Day weekend show at Humberstone Speedway, July 7th at Ohsweken, July 8th at Merrittville. So another 2 back-to-back crate sprint nights in July. And then in August, we got 2 nights in a row, Monday, Tuesday, in August 14th and 15th. So I want to touch on that in a little bit because that whole event, that's another thing I want to point out. But we'll get to that in a second. Also, Ohsweken, Friday, August 25th, and the West Tour wraps up at Merrittville Speedway Saturday, August 26th. So lots of opportunities to watch some sprint racing, sprint car racing here in Southern Ontario. And of course, the National Series, we should talk about that too. A bit of a combination of both East and West. Starts out with Brockville, 2 nights at Brockville, 2 rounds at Brighton, 2 at Ohsweken, and then 2 at Humberstone to wrap up the national schedule.
Yep. Good little tour. Got a lot of, like, they got as much traveling as the 360's going to be doing. If you want to catch like the national tour and then your region as well. And then what's the other region? I think it's Can-Am, Brighton, Brockville.
So the East region is Brockville, Can-Am, Cornwall,
Cornwall.
and yeah, those 3 tracks: Brockville, Can-Am,
Yep.
Cornwall.
So there you go. Crate sprints are alive and well. No doubt about that.
For sure, man. Everybody seems to be going crate sprints, and
And the best part is that people move up.
yeah, exactly, right. It's a good way to get into sprint car racing. You don't have to jump in. Obviously, you know how expensive it gets when you're running a 360, and it gets pretty quickly it gets pretty expensive. But what did we talk about with Andrew last time? What was it, like a 20 grand roller you can get new, or maybe?
Oh yeah, you can find complete cars or a new one, like a new sprint car roller. Yeah, about 20
Yeah,
grand Canadian, with not a lot of options. Oh, that's like the basic parts and stuff, but that's all you really need.
yeah,
For the creator.
yeah. So it's affordable series to get into for sure. If you really want to get into sprint car racing. Something else that I might want to get into. Maybe you can get into watching Travis Pastrana race a bunch of stock cars because that seems to be the direction he's going. I mean, he made an announcement he's going to attempt to make the Daytona 500 with Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin's team, 2311 Racing. And then he posted a little video on social media of him testing out a what we would call a UMP modified, with a little help from his buddy Steve Arpin, who races. I didn't even realize that Steve Arpin made the jump into the dirt world too, because I used to watch Steve as one of those rallycross guys, along with Ken Block and Travis Pastrana and Tanner Faust and all them. So, but yeah, no, it's kind of cool to see.
He did ARCA too.
Yeah, yeah, I was gonna say I remember him doing ARCA too. But it's cool to see Travis take on these different things, and it's anytime you have a star who's like a global star like that jump into the world of dirt racing, you're gonna get a little extra attention and get some more eyeballs on the sport, and that's a good thing, I think.
Yep, no doubt about it. Dirt racing's so hot right now. It's because, like I said on the Race Rival show last week, that like Tony Stewart started owning cars way back in the early 2000s and slowly started going quick, and then the Knoxville pairs went up, and then now we got all these NASCAR guys loving dirt, and that's why those four guys, who was at Harvick, Justin Marks, Earnhardt Jr., and Ozell and Burton. Yeah, they bought the Cars
Burton,
Tour,
yeah.
and then they're going to try to do that on the pavement side.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Dirt World's just exploding now. And that's why Travis Pastrana
Yeah.
wants to get into it, and that's why he tested a UMP mod. And it's cool to see him running the Daytona 500, too, as well.
I liked. I don't know how far you got through watching that video, but there's one part where like they're breaking down like corner entry. He's like, "Well, you said I have to be on the gas while I'm turning the car," and Steve's like, "Yeah, it's a pedal, not an on-off switch. You don't have to be fully on the gas when you're turning the car." Yeah, that's gonna be funny.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an all-wheel drive rally guy. That's his main racing experience, so I'm pretty sure it's a bit of a handful to jump into one of those things. But if you do want to watch and check him out, it sounds like he'll be part of Speed Weeks in Florida, which are coming up. And our guest today, Nelson Mason, he is going to be down there, I believe, as well, taking part in some activities in Florida. So we'll get to the bottom of that story coming up. Also, I wanted to touch on before we get to Nelson Mason. I teased it a little bit earlier when we were talking about the Action Sprint Tour, but now we're getting a doubleheader of NASCAR Pinty Series on the dirt at Ohsweken, Monday and Tuesday show once again this year, and I'm pretty stoked about it. I'm not gonna lie, I really enjoyed seeing them on the dirt. It ended up being a really good show, and I think 2 days of it's gonna really allow the drivers, allow the teams, allow everybody to figure out what kind of racetrack they need, what kind of car setup they need to maybe put on even better show this year.
Yeah, definitely turned out a great finish and stuff. It was fun being a part of the show, had that party atmosphere a bit. Yeah, Derek Miller playing the band was my favorite part of that whole weekend. I can tell you that right now. Loved watching Derek. But
yeah,
this year I hope they have Stewie again.
He killed it.
And this time I'm going to remember to go down to his party because that's where I forgot. Like it down.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw more than just Stewie make it up this year. I think.
Oh, for sure.
Having the 2 days. I haven't looked at it the rest of the NASCAR schedules to see where it lines up if they're around Watkins Glen that week or not. But it'd be cool to see some more stars come up and be a part of the series for that one in particular. And I'm just stoked that they went with this decision to have 2 dirt races. So if you want to check out just one, you can. But I recommend making it a little bit of an early week vacation.
Yeah, me too. And initially I was thinking maybe they were going to have one at Granby, but then that didn't turn out, and it turned out at a double at Ohsweken, our new sponsor. So we'll see you there. I'll be racing. Yeah. SOS is already scheduled there, so wonder how we're going to handle that.
Yeah, you guys are going to be you're on the card.
Yeah, we're on the card. So just like last time, it turned out good. We went first, and then you could either load up and go home early or go watch the NASCAR race, which I kind of did both. I watched like 75 laps, and I watched the rest on Flow on the way home. I missed a good finish like a dummy, but
well, you can also this year you'll actually be able to stay and watch a full race on the Monday because we've got 2 dates.
Yes. Exactly. Ain't going anywhere.
So that works out really well. Awesome. All right. Well, let's get to this week's interview. Nelson Mason coming up on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast. The Southern Ontario Dirt Show is brought to you by Ohsweken Speedway, Southern Ontario's home for Friday night excitement. For over 25 years, Ohsweken Speedway has promoted and played host to sprint car racing, with a new season of family-friendly events to be unveiled in the near future. Catch our own Travis Cunningham as he races weekly in the 360 division each Friday night in pursuit of a season-long championship. The Friday night lineups are rounded out by crate sprints, thunderstocks, and mini-stock divisions as well. In addition to weekly racing, Ohsweken Speedway will also hold several marquee events for the Southern Ontario Sprints, the Action Sprint Tour in their West Series and National Series, as well as a visit from Canada's premier stock car series, the NASCAR Pinty Series, on August 14th and 15th for their only stop on dirt. Mark your calendars as the 3/8 mile dirt track located in Ohsweken, Ontario welcomes drivers from across the country and beyond for the 19th running of the Canadian Sprint Car Nationals, which is scheduled for September 16th. To keep up to date with the latest news from the track, be sure to find them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. For track information on policies, admissions, directions, and more, be sure to visit ohswekenspeedway.ca. That's OHSWEKEN Speedway.ca. Ohsweken Speedway, your home for Friday night excitement. Joining us on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast this week, it's driver of the number 35 for episode 35, Nelson Mason. Thanks for coming on and doing this. And thanks for doing, take two on this because we had a couple technical difficulties, but I appreciate you coming back with us.
No, thank you guys. Thank you guys for having me as always.
Oh, I was gonna say right off the hop. I mean, a lot of people want to know about off-season plans, and there's some rumors swirling around about you heading down South Carolina and Florida way. So talk to us about that.
Yeah, I mean, we've been working really hard in the off season to prepare both cars and figure out what we were going to do for this coming season. And yeah, so pretty stoked to be running STSS down south and get to South Carolina for the South Carolina swing, which I'll be there. And then we'll have both cars at the Sunshine Swing for the all tech races. So the 4 races there, which we're pretty stoked about. Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to it. Looking forward to racing the different rules package and kind of figuring all that out, hitting the big competition down there. Hopefully win ourselves some money so that we can prep for the season up here.
Yeah. So what tracks are you going to be running in the South Carolina part? I know about Alltech.
So it's Lakeview Motor Speedway. So it's it's in like Nichols, South Carolina. But anyway, it's Lakeview, and then Alltech's in Lake City. So booking the rooms and everything, it's kind of hard to keep everything straight.
Yeah.
Figure out who's going where. One of the things that this actually came up as a question, I posted it up on Facebook that we were going to have you on the show, and somebody wanted to know about when you're putting a W16 motor in things and moving up. I know you've been saying you're working hard on the sponsorship side of things, working hard on set the race cars up, but uh, this is another year where you're committing fully to Sportsman for both programs, right?
Yeah, definitely off the hop for sure. We were looking at it, and we spoke to Don Spees a lot about the W16 as well, and just trying to get it up. But the thing is it's not just the motor. It's the dampers and it's the whole approach to it. And then when we're running some stuff that's maybe a little bit dated on my car, it can no longer be dated when you're increasing the horsepower and things like that. And so, like anything, we want to do it right when we can move up, and we don't want to be too hasty in that. But also, I want to make sure that I'm kind of dotting my I's and crossing my T's with regards to my driving before I step up another category. I just want to make sure that, I'm never finished learning, but that I've got a little bit more to sink in with before we move up. But I mean, that is the goal, and I would like to have a third car that we can run in modified, especially at the local events before the end of the year, without a doubt. And it's just about how much we can expand. And I had spoke to Travis about this quite a bit, about expanding to crate sprints as well. And that's something that's very, very attractive to us. And same thing, it's something that I think is a viable decision. And I think trying to, while I'm still, let's say, young and absorbing as much as I can in the dirt world, moving to sprints at the same time it's probably not that it's too much on my plate. It's probably better, because then I can make sure that I don't bring any bad habits from the modified over, et cetera, et cetera. I can kind of work two brains, one that works with sprints, one that works with modifieds, but trying to expand as quickly as possible. But in saying all that, making sure that each program that we do have, we're approaching with 100%. So not cutting the sportsman too thin in order to make something else work. Trying to make sure we've perfected one step, then we kind of move to the next step. So that is the idea. When we move to the modified, I don't have a clear picture on that yet, but we are definitely trying for sure.
All right, so we're using this episode to kind of break your Florida, South Carolina, South Swing news. What brought the idea for you to do that? Was it like just because you had lots of good runs and you just wanted to keep it rolling and keep learning? And so what made you decide to go down there?
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I just want to I want to see as many different tracks as I can, and I want to see as many different competitors as I can. So that I'm picking up as many good habits as possible, and the more that we can run, the better. I wanted to get down south straight away, and since we missed the start of the season in 2022, it was kind of crucial for me to step out and let's say start 2023 on the right foot. So that was the big push, and also I strongly believe, like, from all my years in formula racing and everything. I mean, when you get preseason testing correct, then the whole season kind of just lays itself out for you, and everything becomes much more straightforward and usually much more successful. So we're kind of treating this as our preseason test before Merrittville, and well, before, let's say, Southern Ontario, the races that we'll have here. So yeah, we're using it purely as a test bed. We get to learn the American racer. We get to learn some different rules packages. So that's really the big driving force behind it all. Yeah, and to get some warm weather.
I hear you there.
Yeah, fair enough. It's been a little cold. It's been a little bit damp and dark up this way, but sounds like you got some really exciting plans. Looking back on 2022, just talk to us about seeing a lot of different racetracks up here and even across the border. You went down to Super Dirt Week, you went down to Ransomville and had a lot of success over at Ransomville, and not in a very short amount of time going over there. So just talk to us about uh, your 2022 season and some of the highlights of it for you looking back on it.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. Like, I think, like anything, seeing those different tracks, it really does help me as a driver. It helps me understand the car. There's so many things that I was having to figure out when stepping into the car, and when I was first driving it, like, I was nowhere close. I wasn't doing the right things behind the wheel. And yeah, we won our third race out, and that was a good race. Everything kind of fell into place. But in reality, I started on pole, and it was a one lane racetrack. So you got to take it for what it was. And moving on through the year, you find those spots where you found a little bit of gain, let's say, in my driving or in the car or whatever, and then you kind of plateau, and then you're searching for something, but you're not finding any benefits again. And that was where, like, when we ran Ransomville, it's a much different track from Merrittville, and or Merrittville Humberstone, let's say, and it has much higher speeds, much more aggressive approaches into the corners. You can do things like slide jobs and things like that you can't really get away with at Merrittville. So it definitely opened let's say, expanded my view on what I could do within the car, and what I could do to make the car work. And so that really, I felt that was a massive, massive gain, because then once we came back to Merrittville, I mean, everything felt a little different. I could search for different things in the car, and we were trying different things on the setup. So yeah, I mean, running all of the tracks, I think it really does just help. If there's one thing that you learn about the car or about your driving or about whatever, it's a benefit. But yeah, I mean, and then same, like, running Ohsweken, the first time we ran there, we were fairly competitive, but nobody was really a big mover in that race. And then the next time we ran there, like, I mean, we were stout and we were super, super strong. So it was just, it was a double-edged sword, kind of as we talked about the other day. Like, it was a double-edged sword with me trying to figure out how to drive these cars, and also trying to, let's say, have my own unique approach to it, so that I can make it work for me, not just I have to work for it kind of thing. And at the same point, my father, who also comes from, race cars on asphalt, road course race cars, try like getting him to understand what to do with the car to make it work, getting him to understand, where I was deficient or where the car was deficient. Because, same thing. I would just say, oh, the car's not fast enough. Well, that's great. But neither is the driver. So, yeah. So figuring out like where we could benefit and where we were already doing a good job, where we could do a better job. And that was where seeing different racetracks really, really helped us. Seeing different competitors really helped us, and just understanding, how our approach could be, let's say, honed in and perfected a little bit better.
All right. So we talked the other day about you. How I figured this out is because I saw you guys scaling Taylor's car at BRP at break, and the first time I saw you there, you were all chatty and stuff, and the second time not. You were totally zoned in with Randy, setting the cars up and trying to learn some stuff, and you did learn some stuff on the how the two cars are different and stuff like that. So talk about that day and all the setup stuff with Randy there.
Yeah, I mean those are the important days, and Randy, I think basically everybody up and down the paddock, or sorry, everybody up and down the pit. Um, that they can all attest that Randy's a pretty huge importance, in what Bicknell does and what these cars in this category does. And he's just a huge wealth of knowledge. So great dude, and he and my father go back quite a bit as well, which is a benefit to us without doubt. And yeah, so I mean, we had scaled my car before, and it was fun. We were figuring out things because we had no idea what the hell we were doing. To be fair, I mean, all four tires are different sizes. Like, who came up with this idea? So it's everything was a bit of an anomaly to us then. But scaling Taylor's car, I mean, that's really the thing, is that we spent a lot of time last year trying to figure out one car. And my car is a 2017, which was built as a non-coil car that's been converted to a coil car. And then his is a 2020 chassis, which is a coil car. So there are quite a bit of differences we've discovered in how we need to set them up. And that was something that, last year we were really just setting up the 35 car and matching the 74 car with it. And that wasn't really the ideal solution by any stretch, but we simply, same thing. We were just trying to figure it all out. We were all learning. Taylor was learning, I was learning, my father Jay was learning, and so we were just trying to figure it out one step at a time and one race at a time. So yeah, so going to see Randy really opened our eyes a bit more to what we need to be doing different on the 74 car to the 35 car, and that will really help us this year, because there was a lot of times where really, Taylor was, I think, had a fantastic year, and he really showed that he's a a top competitor out there. And like, when we ran him in the 35 car, I mean, he led the whole race. So he was definitely there. It was just that maybe there was some deficiencies in the car setup that we weren't really apprised to, or we weren't really aware of just how deficient they were. So speaking with Randy, spending some time with Randy and figuring it out for this year, and having that time to figure it out, has really been a huge benefit. And we'll see how it pays off down south. But that was really a big thing. We needed to get those boxes checked and understand that when we're running a 2-car team, we need to be truly running a 2-car team, not just one car with a mirrored second car.
Yeah, fair enough. I find it fascinating the way you guys work and the way this team has really come together. One of the things that stands out to me when we talk, Nelson, is your pursuit of sponsorships. The other night before, when we tried to take one of this interview, you were just coming off of a dinner where you were trying to pitch to a sponsor and trying to maybe secure some more funding for this program throughout the year. So just talk to us about your approach to sponsorship and how to secure it, because I think it's one area that can be easily overlooked on a more of a local circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a tough thing, right? And even using the term sponsorship is a pretty tough tough thing to say, because it really just sounds like you're asking for money for, next to no in return, nothing in return. It's just a sort of uh, a charitable input. But in reality, like, it is a partnership. You are trying to bridge that relationship where they're giving you something, which is usually financial, and then you need to provide something else to them, whatever that may be. Um, and in reality, I would say, you know, the thing that needs to be done, and the thing that we need to do more in the local side, is really just figure out what what we can do for that partner, for that sponsor. And that's really what I try to do is, like, let's say, there's a lot of businesses now, like we can talk with trades, for example. There's trades out there and they're so fully subscribed that they don't need to promote their business. But in actual fact, like, I was working with a roofing company the other night that will likely be bringing on board, and it wasn't business that they require, it's manpower. So now you can start to say, well, if we work on a bit of a recruitment drive for you, then that's where you'll get the benefit from. And that's what I want, the financial side of what your benefit is, and you get the business side of having more workers or more applications, or what be you. So you have to look at, if you were the sponsor, what would you want from the partnership, and just to say, oh, I'm going to give out $10,000 and hopefully, my sticker is seen by a whole bunch of people. It's not fully the way to go about it. You need to have a little bit more open mind, and put yourself in their shoes a bit more. And that's what we work on. And with this team, I mean, my whole thing has always been that, I really don't want anyone paying to go racing. I don't want the sponsor paying to go racing. I want them getting their ROI back so that they're coming out ahead. And I want the drivers not paying to go racing so that they can just focus on their job, which is trying to win. And and I want the crew guys, like, just being able to fully focus and not be a thing where it's like, oh, I don't know if I can show up on Saturday night. I want it to be like, everybody committed, and run as like a fully fledged racing team. So that's really what my driving force has been with this team from the get go. And I just know, like, from my career, how hard I had to work for sponsorships and things like that. I would be the best driver in the car. I'm better than my teammates, and yet I'm having to bring all the money because, for one reason or another, they have relationships, or, they already have big sponsors or whatever. So it was always crazy to me, like, if I'm the guy winning races, why am I having to pay? It should be the other way around. And so that's really what I wanted to do with this is I want to help recruit young talent and bring young talent through. So Taylor's my first example of that. I watched him race quite a bit, and got to know him, and he's a guy that I think has a career in the sport for sure, and can continue to grow and excel in it. So I'm happy to support him, and build that sort of relationship and career with him. And at the same point, like, find the next guy, like the next young kid that we can bring through, be it from carts or whatever, and just help with the ladder system a little bit. If I can give them a year of racing and success, and they don't have to be bringing money, or they don't have money, and it'll just help get their name out there and give them the opportunities that they may not have had otherwise. And that's kind of the whole driving force behind Mace Race, the team. It's not just for me to race in it. It's for it to keep kind of growing the sport, especially locally.
That's awesome. Yeah, sweet that you guys are trying to kick that up. You're definitely doing a good job so far. So last year you won a couple of races. You were feeling good. We want to talk about Dirt Week because it's the best week in dirt racing, if you ask me. Definitely for the Northeast modified style cars. And started off with a little bit of deal at the border, getting your trailer stuck, and then you made a little crack the other night where it's like you're not used to towing your own car. I like that. So we're going to go over that again. And then I just talk about the good run at Weedsport, 9th out of 70, and then quick time at Brewerton, and then how you found the weak parts in the car, because then you started wheeling real hard and you were running third at Brewerton and the rear end broke after that, and then went to Ohsweken. So just talk about all that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's just it. I'm I'm used to being the pretty boy. You know, I fly in. I've got the nutritionist waiting for me there. I've got the
Jealous.
my trainer waiting for me there. Everybody shuttles me from the airport. I show up to the nice hotel with the warm towels, and have get my nails done. Maybe I don't know, but no, yeah. So that's the way I'm used to showing up to the racetrack. You know, just ready to race, and I have one job. But here, towing with these huge trailers or whatever else. You know, getting stuck at the border, thing won't turn
That was because
around. They had like
that border used to not be so sharp of a turn. Like I warned all my friends ever since I've seen you get your trailer stuck there. Like don't like you have to go through the truck lane if you're going Peace Bridge or that straight RV lane. You can't go to the other ones anymore like you used to be able to.
well, and Bubba at
Mm-hmm.
the border there, he said to me, "Oh, I could have moved the pylons." I'm like,
Thanks
"Well,
for telling me
man, of
now.
course, yeah, yeah, I got 90 feet of whatever I'm towing here." So, but yeah, I mean, Christ, the things the way that this career has expanded, I'll say. But I'm having as much fun as I've ever had. I'll say that. But no, yeah, it's been it was a real treat going down to Super Dirt Week. It really, really was. And I had high hopes for Super Dirt Week. Like I wasn't going there thinking like, oh, hopefully we get some top tens and I'll be happy or whatever. I mean, when we were at Ransomville, we ran we ran second for most of the race on the big dirt night there, and I battled Sabatka for third for the rest of the race, and it was like Cody finished second, Sabatka finished third, I finished fourth. So I mean, I felt that I was competitive with these guys in conditions that we hadn't seen before. So I expected that with Dirt Week for sure. I expected at Weed Sport that we'd hopefully get a top 15. I mean, everybody's run Weed Sport. We
And
had
it's
never
tricky.
seen it. So, yeah, it is tricky for sure. And but we were strong. We were really, really strong in the heat. I nearly got Cody in the heat at one point. I should have just taken him out. It would have made everybody's life easier. But no, yeah. And so I think He finished second. I finished third in the heat. So he was in the redraw. I uh, I started 12th, I guess, after that, and yeah, we worked our way up to ninth, and it was a good run. I think we ran eighth most of the time and got pipped at the line at the end of the race, but long race, like my first 75 lapper, and we already knew or now we know going back through the video that the rear end was starting to go. You could hear it, and I was feeling it kind of locking a bit, but I didn't know enough about it. I didn't know enough about why it was doing that, or I didn't want to say too much because I didn't want to spend any money, so I didn't want to find out why it was making noise, and that inherently was our downfall at Brewerton, where we went quick time. Everybody said it was like Merrittville, and so I just went out, and our very first flying lap we went quick
Reverse
time, which is
Merrittville.
classic.
1 and
It
2
was
is
like
tight there,
Merrittville.
and then 3 and
Yeah.
4 is the sweeper. It's like Merrittville, yeah, reversed.
Yeah, and everybody was running high in time trials, and I just stuck it along the bottom like I do because I don't know, I don't want to chuck it into the fence yet, and yeah, and so we went quick time straight away, which was awesome, and everybody was really stoked about that, and then we won our heat, which was really really good, and we were strong in the heat, we had a pretty competitive heat, I'd say. Murtaugh was in our heat, Mackey was in our heat, and we kind of drove away from them a bit, which was nice and a little feather in the cap, let's say. And yeah, we were running strong in the feature and before the rear end let go, and that's the way that it goes. And after that, we were really that really put us on our back foot. We were really chasing everything, and we got to Oswego, and we didn't know, at all of these places, we didn't know what gears to run. And so we had got the gears just from people we were asking. And so when we ran for time trials at Oswego, our gear was we were way too high. And, so I was on the limiter before I even got to the start line. And same with Taylor. So we were kind of nowhere. We qualified nowhere, which was unfortunate. And then you're just on your back foot trying to win your way through. And I think I finished third in the last chance. I needed to finish second. But I started eighth, and it's the last chance. So you're just no holds barred. And I tried to do, I tried to do like a wall rim, the old Martinsville wall rim. I didn't get any cars, unfortunately, so it didn't work for me. But yeah, it was awesome though. It was really super super cool to race against that many cars and see that many driving styles and that many guys that I already knew the names of all the races I had been researching through the year. So it was sick, and the whole experience was sick. Like the whole week is just outstanding. The fans are outstanding. Like everybody's having a ball. The level of competition was really awesome. That's something that I really like. I want to be racing like I feel the best guys and the best cars, and that's really what it was. And so I can't say enough about that. I'm glad we got beat up on for sure. That's the whole point is we can live and learn. But really a great week, and same thing. Like Taylor's family has been going to Dirt Week and camping out at Dirt Week for the last 20 years, and this was the first time they got to race there. So all really really cool stuff and important stuff for the team, but absolute blast. And that was another thing you had asked about why we're going down south. Well, after we came back from Ohsweken, we're like, okay, like where's the next race, and like how do we get these cars ready for the next race? And like, yeah, we've got like minus $840,000 from our budget, but like we need to go to the next race. Like so it's yeah, it just fueled the addiction.
Definitely
for
an
sure.
Awesome.
addiction.
Yes. One more question here from the audience here. We put it up on our Facebook at Sods Pod, and one of our loyal listeners, Steven Zelsick, wants to know, where did the 35 come from? Why is that your number choice?
You know what? That was my number choice back in my very first year of go-karts, and I had been racing motocross at that time, and I was number 12. 12 was like always my number, and yeah, but went into go-karts and I wasn't allowed to pick number 12. And Andy Moog, Boston Bruins goalie, was my favorite goalie at the time, and he was number 35. So I was like, boom, I'm going to pick number 35. And my brother had picked number 49, who was his, I don't even know who it was. Like, I can't even remember who it was, like Joe Juno or something like this. But it was like his favorite hockey player, and he picked number 49. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to pick number 35. And then, so that was my number in karts until like I wasn't allowed, like until you were given a number, like by the series, which happened once we were in the World Championships. But I was always number 35 whenever I could be. And then so once I had it's always been like my number I've attributed to ever since. So if you ever want to steal all my banking information, 35 is the go-to. But I mean, but
All right.
You
yeah,
just said there's nothing to
well,
get though, so
it's always been my
I was
number.
gonna say negative 800 something.
yeah, negative 800 something, nothing to get.
Yeah. No,
You want to pay Nelson's bills? There's his.
I'm going to come
debit
out
card
richer
code.
if you rob me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Awesome. All right. Well, we'll get you out of here on this one because we've kept you long enough now. A second time. So let's go with this one. We already asked you what car, what track combination. You've got lots of experience in a lot of different types of race cars. I'm going to give you unlimited budget, unlimited plot of land somewhere here in Southern Ontario. You can build any race facility you want. You can borrow from as many different tracks, or you can make one particular racetrack a mirror image. What would you build?
Yeah, so I think Travis and I have agreed we're going to build Spa, and we're going to build it with like a sort of clay dirt mix for sure. No jumps, not rallycross, but take from other tracks. That's a good question, or that's a good point. What would I add to Spa? I would say I would add from Cops through Beckett's Maggots from Silverstone. I would add that probably on
Yep.
the back straight somewhere, just because they're the most unbelievable set of corners. But if you did something like that in a sprint car, like I mean, if your skin could stay glued to your body enough, it would be outstanding. It would the G force might peel you apart a little bit, but that would be simply outstanding. That's what I would do. A dirt Spa.
Dirt Spa.
All right.
Yeah.
I like it. We can make it happen somehow, some way. We're gonna win a lottery and make it happen. Nelson, thanks so much for taking the time and joining us here on this episode. And good luck with the trip down south and whenever we get going up here.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much for the time. Really appreciate it.
Cheers, Nelson Mason on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast. And the checkered is out on another episode of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe for future episodes. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Southern Ontario Dirt Show. Have a question for the show? Email us, southernontariodirtshow@gmail.com. Thanks for supporting local racing in Southern Ontario, and we'll see you at the track.